Hello everyone. So in the last class, we were discussing about structured singular values, right? So when you have a structured uncertainty, we need to go for what is called structured singular value. Okay. So how do we define that? Is the if of a complex matrix, n by n matrix is defined with a structure delta of the block diagonal complex matrix. Okay. So this mu delta depends on the structure of the perturbation as well. Okay. So we consider a particular class of perturbation blocks. That is nothing but a block diagonal complex structure of this kind, diagonal of delta 1, IR1, etc. up to delta yes, IRS. Then this capital delta 1, delta up, etc. up to delta F are full blocks. Okay. Whereas this small delta 1, IR1, etc. This delta 1, that is a scalar, a real scalar thing. Okay. They may be repeated. Okay. So that is why it is written here. Repeated. Repeated scalar. Okay. Repeated scalar. Right. So if you consider this kind of uncertainties, then we can define our structured singular value as this. Okay, it will be equal to 0 if the determinant I minus m delta is not equal to 0, and otherwise it will be reciprocal of the minimum of the maximum singular value of the perturbation. Okay, and we had taken up some examples as well, right? So how to compute this mu delta, structured singular value? There is no easy way, and there is no hard and fast simple method of computing a mu exactly. Okay, so we have to make use of something called scaling factors, right? So let us draw a figure here, right? If you remember, we had our LFT in this kind. We had our LFT of this form. This was our delta, and this was our denominator plant m. Okay, right? So this same figure can be redrawn in a different way. Okay, equivalently, but in a different way, where D is a matrix. Okay, so now you see our delta is a structured one. We are assuming a diagonal one. Okay, delta 1, delta 2, etc. up to delta m or n, whatever it is. Okay, and then here I will post multiply that with D inverse. Okay, so D into delta into D inverse is essentially same as D only. There's no change. Okay, so I can write this will be the same uncertainty. Okay, same uncertainty. Okay, then instead of this normal M, I can again write like this D inverse. Okay, sorry, like this D inverse, then M M, then again D. Okay, so you can see here in this part, when you take the equivalent value, it will be same as M only. Okay, so this is equivalent to what we have written here. Okay, so in short, I can say that I can write that this is my M. I can write this as, let me write here new. Okay, new M in this figure will be equal to nothing but D into M D inverse. Okay, D into M D inverse, right? Because this D and D inverse will get cancelled, and you will get same as M only. Okay, so this is called the block diagonal scaling. Okay, see here the diagonal elements only are non-zero entries. All others are 0 here. Okay, so this is what is called block diagonal scaling. Block diagonal scaling. Okay, so I can write like this: delta into D must be equal to D into delta. They must be commutative. Okay, they must be commutative in multiplication. Okay, now let us consider the block diagonal scaling matrix. Consider the block diagonal scaling matrix. D. Okay, that will be nothing but diagonal of DI. Okay, so that is what is chosen here. D and D, it's D inverse. Okay, where DI is a scalar and II is an identity matrix. Is an identity matrix of same dimension. Of same dimension. Of same dimension as the ith perturbation block. As the ith perturbation block. Delta I. Okay, so keep in mind we are considering this specific structure. What is the specific structure? It should be a diagonal matrix. Okay, block diagonal structure delta. Okay, then only this analysis will be holding good. Okay, particular block delta I. The inputs and outputs. The inputs and outputs. The inputs and outputs to M and delta. To M and delta can be rescaled. Can be rescaled by inserting the matrices. By inserting the matrices D and D inverse. Okay, so what you are seeing here is that we are inserting these matrices D and D inverse, so that when you take the effective product, it will be same as delta here, and here it will be same as the plant here, the plant model M here. Okay, D and D inverse on both sides as shown. On both sides as shown. With the chosen form for the scalings. With the chosen form for the scalings. With the chosen form for the scalings. We have for each perturbation block, we have for each perturbation block delta I equals di delta I di inverse, correct? Or if you take it collectively, it becomes delta equal to d into delta d inverse. Okay, these are just some scaling matrices only. Okay, now why we are discussing this? Because this is the basis of what is called decay iteration in mixed sensitivity analysis. Okay, that is why we are discussing about these things. Now, mu delta, what is mu delta? That is the structure singular value. Okay, mu delta for complex perturbations, structure singular value mu delta for complex perturbations is bounded by the spectral radius. Is bounded by the spectral radius and the singular value and the maximum singular value and the maximum singular value. That's the property of this structure singular value. Okay, so it should be lying between these two. Sigma bar of M. Okay, that is what is written here. It is bounded by the spectral radius rho and the maximum singular value sigma. Okay, so it will be always between these two. So this is the lower bound, this is the upper bound. Okay. So you see, this is the upper bound, right? So that means mu delta of M should be always less than or equal to. Okay. So before that, so what will be the singular value of D inverse? It will be same as mu of M. Okay, mu of D inverse. D inverse is nothing but same as M only, right? Will be same as mu of M, right? So because of that, we can straight away write here as should be less than or equal to, okay, sigma bar of D inverse. Okay, should be less than sigma bar. Okay, upper bound is always the structure singular value is bounded always on the upper side by the maximum singular value. Okay, so since mu of dm d inverse is same as mu of m. Instead of m, I can write dm d inverse. Okay, so we should take the minimum of this scale. Okay, what is d? What is d bar? What is d? Don't forget, d bar is the set of this thing. What didn't I write that? What is d? What is d actually? D is the set of. Go. I didn't. Did I write here? Oh, so where D is the set of matrices D which commute with delta. What's the meaning of that? It means that is D into delta must be equal to delta into D. Okay, that is one. That's the meaning of what is meant by commutation. Okay, D into delta must be equal to M into delta. Right? Okay, so let me write some examples of D's which will commute with delta. Okay, some examples. Say for example, delta equal to delta I. Okay, diagonal thing. So what should be the D? What should be corresponding D? It can be a full matrix. Okay, it will commute. Right? If you have any doubt, you take a simple example and just substitute and see whether this commutation properties match. Right? Then delta can be a full matrix. Delta may be a full matrix. So in that case, what should be the D for commutation? D must be equal to diagonal di. Okay, then and so on. So we can see that the structure of delta and D are opposite. So when delta is diagonal, the scaling matrix D has to be a full matrix. When delta is a full matrix, the scaling D has to be a diagonal matrix, and so on. Okay, so this is what D indicates. It indicates as a set of matrices which will commute with the perturbation. Okay, so let me note this as 2. Now, what's the goal of mu synthesis? The goal of mu synthesis is to minimize over all stabilizing controllers A. Okay, if you remember that LFT, what was the configuration? It was something like this. This is delta, this is M, and this was our K. Okay, one branch from here, one from here, like this. Okay, so K is our controller here, right? That is what is mentioned here. Or all stabilizing controllers K. Over all stabilizing controllers K. So stabilizing controllers K, the peak value of the structured singular value of the closed loop transfer function FL of P comma K. What is FL of P comma K? It is the lower LFT. Okay, if you remember, we had seen that structure. What was that? This was some say P delta, and here we had K. Okay, this was the lower LFT. Okay, so we had to. The goal of mu synthesis is to minimize over all the stabilizing controllers K the peak value of this structure singular value. Okay, of this thing of the closed loop transfer function FL of P comma K. That is, so in mathematical notation we can write minimum among all stabilizing controllers. What we have to do? Maximize omega or all frequency range the structured singular value of the LLFT for all frequency omega. Okay, minimize or also basically the peak value. Okay, so this will give you the peak value of mu delta, structured singular value over all frequency. So we have to find a controller so that we have to find a controller which will minimize this peak value of this thing. Okay. So if you want, you can draw a figure to indicate that. What does it mean? It means that suppose you have here a plant P, let's say controller K. Okay. Okay. So we need to minimize this thing. Find a controller minimum K that will maximize the structure singular value. Okay. This is how we can represent in a diagrammatic form. Okay. Now you see using equation 2. Minimizing this thing means what? Minimizing the singular value, my maximum singular value. Okay, so straight away I can write using 2. Other things will remain the same. Minimize A stabilizing controllers, maximize over all frequencies. Okay, over all frequency. What we have to do? So this becomes what it is. So you see, this is nothing but it is same. It has to be less than the upper bound. Okay, so minimum D delta this thing sigma bar of this thing. Okay, so I can write this as minimum D belonging to D bar sigma bar of scaling. That is D. D is the scaling factor. D FL of P comma K D inverse. Okay. Now D is chosen from the set of this D bar. Okay, what is D bar? What is D bar? Don't forget we have written here. It is the set of matrices which commute with the perturbation delta. Okay. So D is chosen from the set of scalings. From the set of scalings D bar independently at every omega, at every frequency omega. Okay, so D is the scaling, right? So out of the set D bar, we need to choose a particular value of D for every frequency. Okay, for at omega 1, D may be D1. At omega 5, D may be D5. Right? So we need to choose the scaling factor, scaling matrix. Okay. So therefore, this means what? Minimizing of stabilizing controller. So we can interchange this thing. Okay, minimum of D belong to D bar. I can write maximum omega of what? Sigma bar of D and the low LLFT, a lower LFT of P comma K into D inverse. Okay, but now what's the meaning of this? This is nothing but infinity norm. So that means I can write this as minimum K stabilizing minimum D belonging to D bar. Okay, infinity norm of this. Is it not? Because this is the infinity norm. Okay, so this optimization is currently solved. Okay, this optimization is currently solved by an iterative approach. Called decay iteration. Okay, so you cannot solve it by hand. You will have to use software help. Okay, MATLAB. There's a toolbox, robust control toolbox. In the older version, there was another separate toolbox called a mu synthesis toolbox. Okay, I don't know whether now it's available or not. So you will have to make use of MATLAB for solving this problem. So how will you start this? To start the iterations, one selects an initial stable an initial stable rational transfer matrix. Stable rational transfer matrix. D of S with appropriate structure. With appropriate structure. Okay, so that's how we start. We will just take up an initial scaling matrix, D of S, okay, which is stable and a rational transfer matrix, right? The identity matrix. So to start with, you can start with an identity matrix, okay? The identity matrix. So once you have enough experience, you can straight away try with some other matrices, okay? But to begin with, we can consider identity matrix, okay? The identity matrix is often a good initial choice. A good initial choice for D, provided the system has been reasonably scaled. The system has been reasonably scaled. Has been reasonably scaled for performance. Okay. So if you remember, when we solved that AR equation at the beginning, we had considered that matrix, the starting matrix as identity matrix. Okay, like that here also, to start with, we can consider D to be an identity matrix. Okay. So what is our aim? Our aim is to minimize which quantity? This thing. Okay. The quantity infinity norm of D FL of P comma K D inverse can be minimized. Can be minimized by minimizing the expression. By minimizing the expression for K or D. For K or D while holding the other constant. While holding the other constant. Okay, what is K here? K is the controller. And what is D? D is a scaling matrix. Okay, so that is why it is called DK iteration procedure, right? So how do we solve this? What is the common usually adopted method? You keep either K or D fixed and you minimize the expression. Okay, while holding the other constant. For fixed D, scaling matrix D, okay, this norm D FL P comma K D inverse, infinite norm of that becomes an H infinity control problem. Becomes an H infinity control problem. Is it not? What is H infinity control problem? We have to minimize the infinity norm of T Z W, right? That the control was fixed. So if you are having a scaling factor, we are fixing the scaling factor, then it simply becomes an H infinity control problem. And becomes an H infinity control problem. And can be solved. And can be solved. Okay, with fixed K, if you are fixing the controller with fixed K, so keep in mind you are optimizing this quantity. Okay, optimization means it's a procedure, right? So you have to arrive at an appropriate value of D and T, right? So that this infinity norm is minimized. Okay, so if you are fixing the value of K, it is just with fixed K, it is just a mu analysis problem. Whose upper bound can be minimized. At each frequency. Using convex optimization methods. Okay, keep in mind, it is not possible to find the exact value of this mu delta always. Okay, it is bounded always. Where is that? Here it is bounded. Okay, it is bounded by the upper value, right? So we can find better the upper value. Okay, it will be so naturally the structure singular value will be less than the maximum singular value, which is the upper bound. Okay, so that is what is written here, whose upper bound can be minimized. Okay, the resulting descaling data, which is a function of frequency, is fit with an invertible stable minimum phase real rational transfer function, and wrapped back and substituted back. So that will be substituted back into the original, the open loop interconnection. Structure, open loop interconnection structure. Okay, this process carried out iteratively. So this is not a one shot procedure. This is iterative procedure. This process is carried out iteratively until a satisfactory controller is constructed. Okay. But the problem is that this will not guarantee global optimum. Okay, because it may get stuck at local optimum. Okay, it will not converge to the global optimum always, right? But for practical purposes, this will work. Okay, this iterative scheme is not guaranteed to find global optimum. But this method works. This method works well in most of the cases. Okay, so as I said before, you have to write a program for solving this thing, because you cannot do it by hand. Okay, it is a lengthy, cumbersome problem. So you cannot solve it by hand. You have to make use of MATLAB. Okay, so that's about mu analysis, right? Now we will look into what is called Carrick-Node theorem, right? Carrick-Node theorem. Carrick-Node theorem. In linear systems, how do we check the stability? We know if the poles or the roots of the characteristic equation, correct? If the roots of the characteristic equation, they are nothing but the poles of the system, closed loop poles. If they are in the left half, system is stable. Okay, so how do we check stability? We go for what is called Routh-Hurwitz criterion. Okay, so Carrick-Node theorem will help us to find stability for a system whose parameters vary within an upper bound and lower bound. to check the robust stability. Okay, we can check the robust stability of a system whose characteristic equation coefficients upper bound and lower bound are given. Okay, let me write that, then I will explain what it is. Mariknow theorem. So consider, or suppose you have a transfer function, say for example 10 by s cube plus 3s square plus 2s plus 3 or 4. Okay, this is the closed loop transfer function, g divided by 1 plus gshs. Okay, so this is what is called the characteristic polynomial. So you can check for the roots of the characteristic polynomial by applying the Rutherford criteria. That's the common procedure. Okay, so consider a characteristic polynomial. So assume that you have a uncertainty. Okay, consider a characteristic polynomial given by x of s equals a naught s raised to n plus a1 s raised to n minus 1 plus etc. plus an. What are a naught, a1, n, etc. up to an? They are the coefficients. Okay, but here there's a specialty where each coefficient ak, okay, ak means the kth coefficient, okay, can take any value, between any value in a given interval, okay. So that means ak minus to ak plus. Okay, so such polynomials where you know the upper bound and the lower bound, or the limits, upper limit and lower limit of the parametric variation, such polynomials are called interval polynomials. Okay, interval polynomials. That's a different branch of analysis. Okay, interval polynomials. Okay, so each parameter, so a naught can vary from a naught minus to a naught plus. A1 will vary from a1 minus to a1 plus. Okay, that means you have a family of plants. Okay, so this is a perturbation branch. You can see the per se the resistance value of a component that you are using in a circuit. It is changing between say 0.1 to minus 0.1. So you will have a family of plants. Okay, so how to check this robust stability? Where k equal to 0, 1, etc. up to n. Okay, the set of all possible characteristic equations, the set of all possible characteristic equations is defined by the upper and lower bounds, upper and lower bounds of each coefficient, So keep in mind here we had only one plant because all the parameters were fixed. Whereas in this case, this a naught can vary between a naught minus to a naught plus. Similarly, a1 can vary from a1 minus to a1 plus, like that, etc. up to an minus to an plus. So you will get a family of plants. That's the difference between this characteristic equation and this characteristic equation. Okay. So suppose that we denote this like this, XA. Okay, we denote all set of this family, all family of plants we are indicating it. Okay, including in this limit. A naught in this family, a naught s raised to n plus etc. plus an, such that the kth coefficient is an element of minus to plus. Okay, where k can vary from 0, 1, etc. up to n. Okay, all polynomials in XA. So the Carnot theorem states that Carnot theorem states that all polynomials in XA are stable. Okay, so you see now instead of having a single plant like this, we have a family of plants. Okay, It is not possible to apply a root service criteria to each family. There may be 100 or 1,000 family of plants. So you cannot do 1,000 root service criterion tests. Okay. So that procedure has been simplified, right? You only need to check 4 polynomials, stability of 4 polynomials using root service criteria. I repeat, to determine the stability of the family of plants represented by this equation, okay, what you have to do, you have to consider just 4 typical polynomials, which we will see later, very soon. Okay, you have to consider only 4 plants out of this family of plants to determine the robust stability of this family of plants. You will have to check only the stability of the 4 Kac equations. Okay, all polynomials in X are stable if and only if the following 4 polynomials, are stable. Okay, so you just need to check the stability of the following 4 polynomials. Okay, if the following 4 polynomials are stable, then the entire family of plants represented by Xi will be stable. What are the polynomials? Let me write here. An minus plus an minus 1 s plus an minus 2 plus s square plus an minus 3 plus s cube plus an minus 4 minus s raised to 4 plus an minus 5 minus s raised to 5 plus etc. This is first polynomial. Okay, so what's the meaning of this? You take the lower value. Okay, keep in mind ak minus is the lower limit, ak plus is the upper limit. Okay, so you have to create 4 polynomials, out of which one is like this. You consider the lower bound for the first 2, this thing an. Okay, so an minus plus an minus 1 s, then you take the upper bound an minus 2 plus an minus 3 plus etc. Then second polynomial will be the other way around. It will be an plus, okay, plus an minus 1 plus s plus an minus 2 plus s square. Sorry, this is plus, this is minus. Okay, minus s square plus an minus 3 minus s cube plus an minus 4 plus s raised to 4 plus an minus 5 plus s raised to 5 plus etc. Then third polynomial. Now the signs will be again different. An minus plus an minus 1 plus s plus an minus 2 plus s square plus an minus 3 minus s cube plus an minus 4 minus s raised to 4 plus an minus 5 plus s raised to 5 plus etc. And finally, we have the fourth polynomial, P4 of s as an plus an minus 1 minus s plus an minus 2 minus s square plus an minus 3 s cube plus an minus 4 plus s raised to 4 plus an minus 5 s raised to 5 plus etc. Okay, so these polynomials are called Charikno polynomials. Charikno polynomials. Okay, so if you can check the stability of the 4 Charikno polynomials, then the entire family of plants is stable. Okay, so you see, in principle, we have to check. We have to do many checkings. Okay, we have to check an infinite number of polynomials, but in practice, in reality, only one test only need to be conducted. Okay, for of each of the Charikno polynomials. Okay, thus although in principle, although in principle we are testing an infinite number of polynomials for stability In fact, we need to check. We need to check. Only, in fact, we need to check only 4. Okay, ideally speaking, there will be a family of plants, okay, defined by this Xn, right? So instead of checking all stability of all the infinite number of polynomials, we just need to check stability for the 4 polynomials, which can be done using this can be done. This can be done using Routh-Hurwitz criterion. Method. Okay, try an example. Given x of s equals a0 s cube plus a1 s square plus a2s plus a3. Okay, with 0.1 less than a3 less than 0.5, then 1 less than a2 less than 2, 1 less than a1 less than 3, 1 less than a0 less than 4. We have to check for robust stability. Check for robust stability. Okay, what we have to do? We have to look for the Carikno polynomial. Okay, what are the Carikno polynomials from this? Carikno polynomials. What are they? What are they? How will you find this? First one, an minus. So an means what? It is the constant term. Don't forget that. Okay, an is the constant term, right? So we have even though Kapsi polynomial is written from the highest power of s in the decrementing order, the polynomial is written. Carikno polynomial is written in the ascending order. Okay, so an minus. So what is an here? An is a3 and an minus is 0.1. So 0.1 plus what is a2? Then what next? An minus plus an minus 1s. An minus 1. So an minus 1. An minus 1. So an minus 1 means a2 lower this thing a2 1s. Then so 0.1 plus 1s plus what? An minus 2 s square. An minus 2 s square. That means a1 plus 3 s square plus an this thing a0. A0 will be 4 s cube. Okay, this will be P1 of s. This is first polynomial. Then what is the second polynomial? An plus. Okay, so that means a3 plus, where is a3 plus? A3 plus is 0.5 plus what? An plus plus an minus 1 plus. So a2 plus a2 positive value will be 2. 2s plus what? An minus 2 minus s square. So s square is a1. So a1 lower value is 1. So 1 s square. Then plus an minus 4 s. An minus 4 plus it is right. Did I make a mistake? Cube. A3 higher value 0.5. Then a2 higher value 2s. Then what? Lower value. Okay, lower value of the other two. So a1 lower value is 1. Then a0 lower value is, what is a0? S cube. This will be the second polynomial. What is the third polynomial? An minus plus. So what is an minus? A3 minus. A3 lower value is 0.1. Then plus what? An minus 1 plus. A2 positive higher value have to take plus 2 s plus what? An minus 2. An minus 2 plus. That means a1 positive higher value plus 3s square plus what? An minus 3. An minus 3 means 0.1 s cube equal to P3 of s. And finally, the fourth Carikno polynomial will be what? An plus. An plus means 3, not 3. 0.5, 0.5 plus. Then what next? An minus 1s. That means a2 minus. A2 minus is 1 plus 1 into s plus an minus 2 s square. a1 lower. So plus s square plus an minus 3 minus. So a naught minus. That means s cube. This will be your fourth polynomial. Okay, so you can apply Rutherford's criterion to all each of these four polynomials. So if you do that, you will see system is not robustly stable. Why not robustly stable? Because all the four cardinal polynomials are not stable. Okay, if you do Rutherford's criterion, you will see that the fourth polynomial is not stable. This is stable. This will be stable because all the poles will be in the left half. This here also all poles will be in the left half. But in the fourth cardinal polynomial, there will be roots in the right half of the plane. Since one of the cardinal polynomials is not stable, the family of plants represented by this Scatters equation is not robustly stable. Therefore, it is not robustly stable. Okay, so we'll stop here and continue in the next class.